Daytona. Everybody ready, set, go. Rev it up and let's roll. There's a party in the fast lane. Got my hands on the wheel and I'm flying. Heartbeat loud as the thunder rolls. Riding in on the stampede of lightning. I'm bringing back the sunshine. Bringing back the sunshine. Baby, it's about time. Oh, bring it back. Oh,
Hello everybody and welcome to Seattle, Washington for race number 9 of the season, race 9 of 18, the halfway point for Armory Digital Super Speedway. We're here in Seattle, Washington for the Armory Digital 500, the second Super Speedway race of the year and another in-season tournament matchup. I'm in the booth alongside none other than my handsome co-commentator, Tommy McIntyre. Tommy, how are you doing about tonight?
I'm doing just fantastic. I'm just going to enjoy one last night alone with you before you fly back home. So yeah, let's make this a good one.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one here. We're in the round of 8 for the in-season tournament, and last week at Iowa was certainly one of them. One of these, Santiago Nicolas, a little bit of a low-seeded matchup. He is playing tournament spoiler here today.
As well as that, we've got a little bit of a lower tier matchup as well in terms of his seeding, but it's Chase Gibbons, who obviously is still continuing his Cinderella run from 31st seed.
Nathan Stapleton had a pretty good strategy gamble last week, saw his best run with laps led for the sophomore driver and the rookie team with Henrico Racing.
And as well as that, Garrett Lamar finally coming through after a couple of close second place finishes. He got himself a win here coming into his home race. Let's see if we can keep that momentum up.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, home race. We don't really see a lot of races on the West Coast, not to mention the Pacific Northwest nonetheless. We don't go to Portland, so Garrett, actually a Seattle native, will be seeing him at his home track. Didn't exactly qualify the greatest. We'll get into that later. Here's our 4 matchups today for our round of 8. Christopher Marnell versus Santiago Nicolas. This one might be the one to watch for here, Tommy. Santiago Nicolas, your 2-time Daytona 500 winner. Christopher Marnell has done solid at the plate races before, actually won the Daytona 500 pole this year, but Christopher, he kind of needs to take it a step up if he wants to put the fight to the 83.
Yeah, he had a really good run, obviously, Marnell, in the inaugural 500 before getting taken out. But Santiago Nicolas has made the 500 his own. So, yeah, obviously a very experienced and talented plate racer as opposed to Marnell, just a talented or experienced racer in general. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those two line up.
The further matchups, Justin Haley, as we see on the pole, an experienced plate racer, Ethan Harrison, is sitting alongside him. He's going to match up as well. Chase Gibbons qualifying up front, as we see right there. And then Ian McDaniel, someone that we're going to have to keep an eye on. He won at Talladega 2 years ago in Season 2. He hasn't really seen victory lane since. This could be a good comeback win here at Armory Digital. As let's take a look at these keys to the race. Tommy, how about you hop right into these?
So we got 48 laps for your head tops here today. It's a 2.6 mile super speedway with 38 degrees of banking, so it's sure to be a fun one. It's like you said, it's a driver's track. It's super wide, super fast, and like 4 and 5 wide, so you can really get after it. If you make aggressive moves, you can really profit from it, but you can also really wreck your race. No pit stops are to be expected, so look for a lot of chaos in terms of people just going balls to the wall for this entire 48 lap run.
Absolutely, and we've said that this is kind of a driver's track. The other 2 super speedways, your traditional sort of pack racing. We'll see pack racing here, but these guys will be moving and shifting about. Expect to see a lot of lead changes up front, but not a lot of uniform pack racing. We'll probably see some tandems, but mostly people trying to gather up their runs and making moves to the inside, the outside, and the middle. Cars are pulling off. Let's take a look at our starting lineup. Justin Haley and Ethan Harrison are on row number 1. Row 2, Strokey Banger and in-season tournament contender Chase Gibbons. Row 3 sees Michael Guthrie, who narrowly lost out here last year, and Robbie Gordoff. Squarius Greenhouse Jr. and Quinton Haley in Row 4, both Haley brothers in the top 8. Kyle Mabey and Jeremy Mead, both drivers looking to continue their in-season tournament runs against their respective matchups. Reed Simpson, Blake Walker, the 88, the Pied Piper's number, looking to get to victory lane. Matthew Fastnot and the Arisuko in Row 7. Last year's winner, Richard Fridge, in Row 8 alongside Zachary Ponce. Row number 9 is going to see Logan Williams and Kaz Gralla, who also has some real-life superspeedway racing experience. Row 10, Henry Guo and Christopher Ronell starting in 20th there. 21st, Jordan Madron and Joe Kraus, last week's pole winner. Santiago Nicolas starting in 12th in Row 12 alongside Riley Gore, so a bit of a close matchup there. Ian McDaniel starting a little further back next to Alexander Rowe. Jerry Chen and Tyler Cook in Row 14. Tyler Cook finished second in the Daytona 500 in season number 3. Dominic Anthony has been a staple at these plate races alongside Garrett Lamar. Aaron Giffen, Braden Sigafus in Row 16. Row 17, Chris Lilly and Carson Green. Row number 18 has Christian Visconti and Anthony Foss. Row number 19 is going to move forwards and see the 42 of Cam Arrow, his first superspeedway race of this season, and continuing forwards, Bryson Collins, Ricardo Garcia. Garcia missed the 500. Stephen Colon and Nathan Stapleton will round out the field. You saw Dominic Anthony. We forgot to mention this was an open race, so we had 5 drivers miss the field. A lot of our open entries didn't make it, but Ryan Barone, a full-time driver, failed to make the field. Going to be a pretty big points deficit for someone that's already pretty far back. Off and away for Justin Haley, Ethan Harrison. They're going to lead us to the green flag. Away we go, 48 laps around this 2.6 mile super speedway, and we're going to fly into turn number 1 here, already going 2 and 3 wide throughout the field. Bit of a block. Jeremy Mead throws onto the 88 of Blake Walker as the field slowly but surely gets their way up to speed here, Tommy. It's going to be really interesting. This is such a big and wide track. These guys don't really feel like they're going that fast, but they're still pushing about 190 to close to 200, especially if you get a really big run, as you will see if you get hooked up with somebody pushing you to the front. That is going to be a massive run that you'll have to kind of just take and go along with the ride with.
Yeah, you can really get these crazy slingshot runs, as you were saying, and like we say, it is very easy to find yourself in a position where, like you said, you don't really think you're going that fast, and then all of a sudden you've got, like, you know, maybe a 5 or 10 mile an hour difference to some of these cars up front that don't have the same kind of aero help that you have in terms of maybe a draft plus a push or something like that. So very quickly you can go from being in a position where you're all kind of running around the same speed as people to all of a sudden, oh my god, like, here's a car in front of me that I've got an absolutely massive run on. Thankfully here you can kind of switch lanes and make moves and make maneuvers to get past people in that sense, as opposed to kind of being filed along maybe too wide in a train at the likes of Daytona and Talladega. But as you see there, the number 3 at Kaz Gralla making a big move down to the bottom, about 3 cars back. Like, it is very easy to all of a sudden find yourself going from 10th to 3rd, as Kaz has done there in an instant.
Absolutely. And Michael Guthrie, one of the drivers that did well here last season, actually was leading at the stripe. We did have a green-white checkered restart, and we mentioned this last week at Iowa. 42 drivers woke up today and said, I have a chance. As Shirky Banger goes into the wall, he's going to fall back a little bit. 42 drivers woke up today and said, I have a chance to win here at Armory Digital. And you can just see it's a pack race, but not your typical pack race. Everybody, you aren't really sucking up to one another. You're kind of just like holding still and moving along here as we see some guys staying towards the back. That's Garrett Lamar with 2 of his drivers that he is the owner of. So a lot of these guys probably hanging back, waiting to see when the yellows will come. That's Sean McKean back there as well. They've kind of formed a nice little line here as Sean McKean pulls out of that line right as I was saying it, so commentators could. Sean just said he doesn't like what I was saying. So.
Interesting to see, like you said, that it's 2 of Garrett's cars plus himself, so maybe that's something that they were discussing pre-race in terms of, like, you know, letting the field maybe, you know, go crazy, go at it, and then they'll maybe, if there is a caution, like you say, maybe they're playing that strategy just to try to avoid maybe some risk management from the guys over there at Lamar's team. But it could very, very easily fall flat on me as well if the guys that are out front keep it nice and clean you might end up going a lap down if these guys are able to pull enough of a gap on him afterwards. So yeah, could very easily backfire on these guys. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Interesting to note as well with Walter Cullen and Keane and Garcia, guys who missed the 500 all qualified very close to the middle of the pack. So obviously these trends in terms of speedway packages and what teams are up to spec and what teams aren't seem to be continuing throughout these first two speedway races we've had this year. So interesting to see what they're taking out of those trends.
And it's also interesting to note that Garrett is back there with 3 drivers that missed the 500. Ricardo Garcia, Carson Green, and Sean McKean. 2 of those obviously being his teammates. So maybe Lamar is back there to try and boost him a little bit of confidence. Obviously, I don't really think Ricardo Garcia needs the confidence boost, but he did miss the 500. That is a massive confidence miss. To go back to the super speedway, especially something like this, you need to have the reassurance from especially your team owner who's been racing all 4 years, has made the 500 all 4 seasons. Cam Arrow in the 42 is right up front as the 17 of Logan Williams dives down to the inside, abandons Henry Guo. And we also see Dominic Anthony. He missed the Daytona 500, but he qualified 7th on pace in single car qualifying. The duels, unfortunately, kind of didn't shake out his way. So we've seen Dominic fast at these super speedways before, and with this being an open race, he's the only open car to make it, which is quite interesting. These open races with the super speedways kind of have to put it all into one lap. It's not like a Charlotte where you can kind of make up speed through the corners. So Dominic Anthony, with a pretty fast motor underneath that car, could play a factor in today's race. Not necessarily maybe the in-season tournament battle, because we don't have any DAF racing cars in that battle, but that 7 car has already made his way to the lead with help from Logan Williams. Could play a factor in terms of where points are. He could play team owner and push one of his guys to the win, especially like a Richard Fridge, who could need that points boost mid-season like he did last year.
Yeah, as you can see here, we've already got the Logan Williams in 17 and obviously say Dominic in the 7. We also got the 47. So it's a DAF racing trio that we've got out front here at the moment. So obviously they've got their cars dialed in right now. So yeah, I'd say they're pretty happy with how they're running so far. But we've seen the likes of these before. I mean, obviously for myself, we've seen CRT run like 1, 2, 3 throughout different points in time. It doesn't necessarily translate to anything until the checkered flag. So we'll wait and see what arises for these guys at DAF racing 40 laps time. But it's pretty confidence boost. It's a good confidence boost for now at least. So they've got the raw speed. Let's see if they can turn it into something to that.
We just went on board with Aaron Giffen, who had a massive run, big push from Chris Lilly. That put him from about 7th or 9th place to the lead in approximately a straightaway and a half. So Aaron Giffen, the Oregon native, this is also his home track, looking to show out, and he's got a big push from Cam Arrow, who dives down to the inside. You can see, really, these cars, if you enter the corner a little bit weird, you start to float up the track a little bit. Very weird to see at a super speedway, just in terms of how the track has been cared for and nurtured, and I would say it's much different than a normal super speedway. It's kind of like old Daytona previous to the repave, where you were kind of fighting the car the entire lap.
Yeah, with obviously with it being a super banked track as well, there's obviously that plays a lot on the car as well in terms of the physics, and it's just such an unnatural feeling, I guess, to have so much banking. Obviously these guys are used to a decent level of banking, but nothing this extreme, even with the likes of Daytona and stuff. So yeah, it definitely is a unique feeling as opposed to other super speedways, and definitely as opposed to other styles of tracks.
Cam Arrow, the 42, takes the lead. The sophomore driver pushed his former boss to the lead, so we talked about that last week. We're talking about it here again today. Here's Christian Visconti in the 80. Pretty solid on iRacing in the super speedways, kind of a plate racing merchant, he likes to say. But the 80 car with the Dale Jr. font, as well as his teammate Blake Walker, looking to recreate at least a smidge of the success that the Pied Piper of Daytona had at the super speedways back in the day. But there's the 83 of Santiago Nicolas making his way to the front. Not a surprise to see him up at the front, but he wasn't necessarily a factor here last season. He kind of worked his way to the front and fell his way back, but didn't exactly see his face a whole lot last year with as much rotation as we've seen throughout the front of the field. I will be intrigued to see how Santiago Nicolas is able to keep this momentum moving towards the front of the pack. Especially, we're only on lap 10 of 48. Still a lot of race to go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, again, like we're seeing the cream rise to the top here in terms of like DAF racing guys, Santiago Nicolas. So these are obviously guys who have had great success at plate races before, or teams that have had great success at plate races before. So it's no surprise to see these guys out front right now. But like you say, there's still a lot of racing to go. So anything could happen. And like you say, the Garrett Lamar strategy here of staying towards the back could end up being the preferred strategy, especially if the likes of Kyle maybe are doing shit like this. And
Kyle maybe, that's an in-season tournament member, squeezes into the 17 and the 60 of Riley Gorse. Oh, Alexander Rowe gets involved in it as well. Ethan Harrison, that's going to bring out a yellow on lap 11 of 48. Stay high, boys. They do. They stay clear. So we'll be racing back to the line. And we saw an incident like that last season. Quite a few of them. People just kind of run out of room. There's so much, a lot of stands. Actually, this track is so big and there's so many obstructions around the track. You actually have 2 spotters, one in turns 1 and 2 and one in turns 3 and 4. So that could have been just a miscommunication of spotters, especially with how big this front stretch is. You're going to need pretty heavy duty binoculars to try and clear your driver.
Right, especially when they're coming down into like you say, when they're coming down at those with them being in turn 1 and turn 2, it can be kind of hard sometimes when you got these kind of head-on angles and stuff to really know just kind of how clear or how not clear your drivers are in terms of are they still alongside or have they got a quarter on somebody. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that they weren't clear there at all though. They were right on top of each other side by side, but yeah, 3 into 1 doesn't go really, and they were all fighting over that middle lane. So yeah, unfortunate to see, especially for the likes of Maybe, who like you say is an in-season tournament driver. Looks like he'll be able to continue, but decent amount of damage. So
absolutely decent amount of damage. We're going to take another look at this replay here as we see the 60 of Riley Gorse. Let's go from top down here. And I mean, that's 3 cars occupying what usually is just a lane for one. Pretty heavy driver's side impact for all 3 of those guys, really. So we'll see if they're, and then the 37 as well, getting, it looks like some front end nose damage. So that could be a factor. We'll see if those guys are able to continue or not. But they're able to drive away, but you never know with these sort of things, especially with this game. Honestly, they might the cars might find themselves into the garage. As of right now, they're seeing extended repairs on pit road. So we'll get to this restart here on lap 16 of 48. Son of our in-season tournament battles as we'll go back to green with Quentin Haley in the front. Green flag is out. We're underway. We have the 23 and 26th facing off against Santiago Nicolas. They're in 8th. Justin Haley in 12th, facing off against Meade, who's currently in 2nd. Chase Gibbons in 20th. The 54 involved in the wreck, he's in 37th. And then Kyle Maybe in 39th after that incident. The 6th is in 7th.
no comment.
No comment. Not after last week.
No. We probably put this one. Speaking of shenanigans, we've got Quentin Haley out front.
Yeah, that usually results in shenanigans one way or another. We saw a pretty decent amount of Quentin last week at Iowa, and it's nice to see Quentin out front here once again. He's had a pretty solid season nonetheless. We saw a lot of him last year for the wrong reasons. It's great to see him this year keeping the car clean. I think he's had an incident-free season. We'll have to double-check that, but I think the 31 hasn't had a wreck all year. Oh, no, he had Charlotte, but that was about it. The 31, other than Charlotte, which was an incident not of his own fault, and 31's kept it pretty clean all year.
Yeah, he's been having a pretty nice run this year. It's good to see. Good to see, like I say, obviously, he's been having a pretty consistent run, and obviously his brother has won a race, so nice to see the Haley boys improving and taking steps towards the front as versus last year. So, yeah, it's great to see all these kind of sophomore teams improving and really bringing up the level of this entire series and bringing the fight to the more established teams.
And also, if you look at it, the consistency is key. Christopher Marnell was close to the top of the point standings last season before even getting the win at Gateway, which was an impressive breakthrough nonetheless, but the consistency is what matters, especially for this full season long points format. Kyle Maybe obviously got the win at Atlanta, but Quentin Haley was right on his tails even through race 4, 5, 6. With no wins to his name. A lot of top 10s though, and that's what's going to get it done. And someone that's looking for top 5 or top 10s, that's 6 of Ian McDaniel. He is looking to push his way forward. He's currently sitting in third with one of his good friends, Christian Vistani, being in first place right now. We see all of these in-season tournament battles, especially towards the earlier parts. We see a lot of storylines, a lot of friends going alongside each other. And that one, nonetheless, we did see Vistani against Justin Haley just last weekend. But here comes the one to slow to the lead with what looks like Ian McDaniel to his inside, coming to 19 before the here at Armory.
Yeah, this is Ian McDaniel. Kind of involved in some controversy last week on the fourth overtime. Obviously, as a result of that, the driver who he was up against in the in-season tournament actually involved in the incident that he caused, allowing Ian to advance despite his kind of not lowly but also not fantastic finish. So yeah, he's obviously in a bit of a controversial spot right now, but nonetheless he is through to this round of 8 in the in-season tournament, and he is making the most of it so far, leading the race. Somebody who isn't making the most of it so far, or well, a team really, let's be honest with ourselves here, that isn't making the most of it. CRT, we've got Chris in the 23, we've got Robbie just to his outside there in the 33, Tyler Cook just behind them in the 43, and Garrett Lamar trailing behind them. So all 4 of the CRT cars there right at the tail of this field for whatever reason. Maybe it's a strategy that I wasn't informed of, but yeah, I don't know why the guys are back there, but if there is a field wiper outer, then hopefully it turns out to be of advantage to our guys to be all the way back there. But I don't want to wish any wrecks or any nasty injuries upon anyone. Speaking of, good to see some of the guys back out in the field, namely former CRT driver Richard Fridge, who had a really mean lick last weekend. He's back out here in the field, so really nice to see that those guys were able to keep going and not have to take any weeks off for any reason. So yeah, just a credit to the safety teams here at LIMECAR and to the good work that they do into making sure that all these chassis are up to scratch. And also credit DAF Racing. Obviously they're a fantastic organization, and they value their drivers' health and well-being, obviously.
Yeah, it's great to see Fridge, and honestly, Fridge, a winner from last season here at Armory Digital. I think it would have had to been much worse, not to be like that, but much worse for him to have to miss this week. He knows that this is one of the better chances that he's got to win, not because it's a plate track, but because he's won here before. He knows how to get it done, and he is has done quite well at the drafting tracks. Actually, he did pretty solid at Bermuda when we back raced there in season 2 as well. So you see Kaz Gralla up front right now, has won at Daytona in the NASCAR Truck Series before. And then another plate racing guy, Dominic Anthony, he's had plenty of plate racing starts. Notably, started at season 2 in Talladega in number 17, and is trying to make the most of all of his open race attempts here, doing quite well already. Having missed the Daytona 500. Oh, we got cars around. Drivers spinning as I'm talking about Anthony. That's the 42 with the Race Greenhouse Jr. The 62 goes bouncing, and we got a lot of cars spinning around. Oh, Garrett Lamar goes speeding through well after the fact, and the yellow comes out on lap 22 of 46. Looks like it's Zachary Ponce in the 16 getting involved in that, so we'll have to take a look at this wreck. I didn't really get a good look at it. All I saw was this 52 spinning sideways.
No, we had quite a head-on view of it there from that particular camera angle. It would be nice to see maybe a helicopter shot to really dissect what's happened here.
Absolutely. As Gralla retakes the lead from Reed Simpson, so he'll take us back to the yellow flag. So let's take a look at this. I think we get the helicopter cam, so we'll go pretty wide here. Looks like... well, that's the 47, and Aaron Giffen. Wow, Aaron Giffen is the one that squeezes into the 47. He goes spinning, goes into Madron, and then, Marnell looks like he gets a lick of it too.
Yeah, obviously the CRT guys weren't far enough back from that one to avoid all of it, with Tyler Cook also getting involved. So, yeah, not great.
We'll go helicopter cam here. We can see just the full extent of this happening right in front of Christian Viscani, who holds the brakes miraculously. Oh, Christopher Marnell runs right into the back of the 40 and then gets hit again.
Yeah, I think he thought it was kind of going to stay up on the top side there for long enough for it to be able to cruise to the bottom. Unfortunately, not
Looks like Sean McKean thought he was clear. Zachary Ponce gets spun around as a result of it. And Garrett Lamar, not exactly a fan of the brakes.
No.
Going through there.
No.
Looks like you'll have to have a word with one of your drivers after this race.
I'll have to have a word with a couple of them there, because obviously Garrett Lamar going through like he was a kamikaze pilot, Christopher Marnell going to the bottom side and getting involved in 2 cars, and also Tyler Cook getting into it as well. So yeah, the strategy didn't really work out there for the boys, but yeah, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. So yeah.
We have 2 lapped cars that have returned back to the race after their incidents. That's Logan Williams and Kyle Mabey. We'll be intrigued to see how they play out into here. It doesn't look like they're that damaged, but Kaz Gralla gets a healthy lead to jump out in front. That's surely going to end well for the driver of the 3. Our closest in-season tournament battle that we have on track right now, Justin Haley's in 25th. Jeremy Mead in the 97 is in 22nd. Everybody else, all their contenders have either been involved in wrecks or are out of the race. Well, I guess both would be accurate for there, but Garrett Lamar has been continuing in this race, but his teammate Christopher Marnell currently sitting in 32nd on pit road, extended repairs for that 23 car. The 83 is in 9th as a result, so that's a little bit of a... Hopefully CRT can bounce back, but it looks like they're going to go a few laps down with that 23 car. Chase Gibbons is in 7th. The 54 has exited the race, so that is a win for Chase Gibbons there.
Fairy tale run continues, so...
Absolutely. And then we see the 32 is back out there. He is quite a number of laps down. Ian McDaniel, barring an incident, we do have plenty of laps, like lap 28 of 48, we're barely just a smidge past halfway. So barring an incident, Ian McDaniel is currently sitting pretty, but Kyle Mabey is currently still out there on the track.
This is kind of like, in IMSA where like a car could go in the pits for maybe like 30 minutes or an hour. And you start to question maybe if you're a casual observer, why would you bother bringing a car back out after an hour of repairs? If you're in something like a 12-hour race like Sebring, if you go an hour down, well, you might as well keep racing until there's only 1 hour left, because if all the cars in front of you are still within an hour of you on track, if one of those cars has an incident and gets wrecked out before an hour to go, then you should be able to catch up all those laps that they were ahead of you. So until, like, let's say, I don't know how many laps down is Kyle Mabey.
He's currently 8 laps down.
So if Kyle Mabey's 8 laps down, then you might as well keep on going until lap 40, because until there is an incident on lap 40 that Ian is able to survive until that stage of the race, maybe might as well keep on going, because if Ian wrecks out before that point, well then, so long as he keeps on logging laps and gets to that threshold of when Ian is out of the race, then Kyle will be able to advance. So there is still hope. Now it is fleeting hope, obviously, for the likes of Marnell and for Mabey, but don't give up until there is genuinely no more way for you to make it up. So yeah, it is a marathon, not a sprint, as they say.
Especially at these plate tracks, we did just see the race kind of flipped itself on its head with that wreck. Both wrecks have happened directly in the middle of the field.
Yeah, exactly, and as a result, it's been a number of drivers getting involved. It hasn't just been these like one car spins, or maybe like a car getting spun onto the apron from a bad hook or something. They've ended up kind of careening up the track, bouncing into the outside wall, and taking out other drivers as well. So, yeah, it has been these kind of multi-car incidents, and as a result of it being multi-car, like, you could be somebody who was completely not involved in it at all, as Marnell was, but still end up getting a piece of it. Whether it be true to true, not really taking the right line in terms of dodging where the wreck's going, or thinking you had a line and not braking or something like that. So you can just be very unfortunate. So obviously Ian is kind of in the best position possible right now, out front leading, where nobody else can cross right now. And if there is an instance, 99% behind him, so it's going to be very good. So Ian's doing the best job he can right now to keep himself safe and himself clean. Much to Kyle Mabey.
The 4 teammates coming on the way as well. Kyle Mabey, not exactly a affiliated with the 4 teams. Does get help, a little bit of help from Daytona Motorsports, a little bit of help from Motorsports, but Ian McDaniel, one of 4 cars in Daytona Motorsports. In addition to being good friends with Michael Duffy, who just swapped the lead with Jared Chen, who's pretty solid bounds with, so it's not exactly like the 6 has no friends out there. There's going to be a lot of help for maybe as well, but maybe is also a few laps down. And if you're in this field where we've seen the field shortened by a fair bit, probably about 8 to 10 cars have kind of been out of this main pack that we normally would see. So if you're Kyle, maybe you're in this pack, you're a lap down car. These guys aren't going to want to play nice with you if you're not playing nice with them. So it's in maybe best interest to just be a pusher, just sit back there, relax. We see, honestly, uniform 3 wide, 3x3 for the first time in goodness knows how long. Probably won't last long as we go back to 4 wide racing, but Kyle Maybe is sitting pretty right behind the 69, and Logan Williams is doing the exact same thing, as he is also the same amount of laps down. So he's just sitting there right behind Ian McDaniel. Don't make yourself noticeable if you're these guys that are laps down.
Well, there is 2 arguments to be made. There is the argument to be made of being passive and not making yourself noticeable. But the issue for that you see at the moment with these guys who laps down is they're right in the thick of it, right in the middle of the pack. And if an incident is to prove, as you were making note of, both of them have happened right where these guys are at the moment. So the likelihood of you being taken out, or at least in some way involved in it, is greatly increased, as opposed to the likes of Chris Lilly, who's running out front at the moment. So there's an argument to make. Do you go aggressive if you're Kyle Maybe? Do you try to make your way back to the front here and run towards the front with the likes of your Chris Lillys and your Joe Krauses? Or do you, like you say, make it a more passive sort of a move and maybe slowly slip back towards the rear? As of right now, it looks like maybe he's choosing the former rather than the latter, as he's coming to the inside here, 4th in line on the bottom. So it looks like he's going to take the strategy of sit out front and make sure that you don't get caught up in anyone else's stupidity.
And with fast cars like Maybe and like Logan Williams, I think that's the best that you can do, because those guys were both quite fast before getting involved in the incident. And looks like Kyle Maybe is content on shoving that 78 of Braden Sigafus to the lead. First time that we've seen Sigafus. Hopefully he leads the lap here. I don't want to jinx it yet, but I think this would be Sigafus' first lap led on the season. So great for that small town team's single car organization of the 78 with Red Bull and WeatherTech sponsorship. Good to see that car out front with pretty big names backing them, and I'm sure the brand execs over at Durham are pretty happy to see that.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to see him. Like this is one of the joys of the play races, I suppose. Like you said, with the open entries, I know we only have Dominic in the field right now, but if you do have these open entries or some of these like smaller town teams that maybe won't be up front quite as often as some of your kind of household names, it is nice to see these guys to get an opportunity to run out front and to get some TV time. Another thing to note, is just if Kyle Maybe is able to be ahead of the leader when a caution comes out, then that would mean that he gets another lap back, right?
Yes.
And as a result, then that means there's another lap for him to have the potential to have an incident go his way that takes out his NCC tournament rival. So there is kind of two positives to spin when it comes to running out front. But like you say, you do have to stay very aggressive to do so. So there is definitely two sides to that sword.
We did see Carson Green and Jordan Madron earlier. They were sitting towards the back. They've both made their way back into this front pack. So those guys laying back, and Nathan Stapleton in the 71 as well in that Powerade machine. So I think the 40 clipped the lead just for a little bit in front of Dominic Anthony. Didn't exactly get a lap led, but still on the stat sheet as making a pass for the lead. But that 40 car regaining the confidence to get back up to the front, the 68 and the 71 as well, as Jerry Chen now makes it to the lead. Also a home race for Jerry Chen. He's from the Pacific Northwest. Great to see the 53 out front at his home track. But lap 37 of 48, we're starting to see some of the cream rise to the top, but also some of the guys that we haven't seen much of, much like Zachary Ponce, make their way commandingly to the front. I would say more so Nathan Stapleton, that 71, who's now sitting in second and in the catbird seat to make a position and a move for the lead.
Well, whenever Sharpies are involved, cream usually rises to the top for me, so no surprise seeing Zachary Ponce out front in that regard. But yeah, like you say, with Nathan Stipton. Obviously, he was involved in one of the incidents as well. So great seeing him. Despite that little setback, he's still able to run out front here. So as once again, Kyle Mabey is able to very quickly rebound from being pushed to the top side. He was managed to find his way down to the bottom side and get back to, well, fighting for the lead in the loosest sense of the term possible, because obviously he's multiple laps down, but yeah, fighting for every hope that he has and every potential chance that he has to stay in this in-season tournament. So credit to him. You can't say that he's going to go down without a fight, but time is quickly running out here as we're on lap 38. He needs an instant within the next kind of 3 or so laps for him to really have any hope of staying in with a chance in this in-season tournament.
And let's not count our chickens too quickly here, but we did see last season Richard Fridge got involved, and I think it was the second yellow, and he bounced his way. I think he went from about 27th to 28th on the green-white checkered to win. He basically went from the back to the front, benefited from the late yellow, of course, but used that late yellow. Oh, we got a car in the wall, the car upside down. That's the 40 of Carson Green, and another incident, just like you were saying, Tommy, that could be big for, Chase Gibbons. Man, that's such a killer for the 14. 26 of Reed Simpson. Looks like Richard Fridge was involved as well. Sigafus in the 78. We'll see if Ian McDaniel's involved in that. I'm pretty sure he avoided it, but we should see. But big damage for the 40, who's shockingly able to continue after rolling, doing like a side grind almost on the side of his car.
Interesting to see here. Does Kyle maybe have the momentum to get to the line ahead of Reed Simpson? Looks like he does, so he will get a lap back here.
That's pretty big for the 32.
That
lap back.
Will give him a lifeline here.
9 laps to go at the stripe under yellow. Let's take a look at this replay.
Kind of similar to the first incident that we saw, but a much more violent result.
Fully goes over.
Both of the Haley brothers getting in it. Chase Gibbons obviously as well takes a really hard lick. Thankfully for his sake, he's already through to the DNF in the earlier race. But this is basically an example of what I was saying. That if this was an Ian McDaniel or Chase Gibbons, this could be a completely different storyline we're talking about here.
And Justin Haley being involved in this incident, and
big with
Jeremy Mead
out front, yeah. Mead got back to the stripe in second, and Justin Haley obviously getting a big piece of this, some heavy front end damage off of his contact with the 14 there. So yeah, that could settle that one in favor of the 97. So looks like we could be seeing 2 Bones Motorsport cars advancing through here.
Pretty big for the team that definitely needs a little bit of a jolt of energy to continue going. We see the 40, he just rolls. That's such a weird incident because he's able to keep going, but we did see other cars seem like they were able to keep going and then did not. The only official driver from that incident to leave the race was the 31. Everybody's still down on pit road or has already completed their repairs. We are going to be restarting lap 44 with 5 laps to go. Christopher Bernal in 35th with 83 of Santiago Nicolas in 8th. Justin Haley in 25th. He's able to continue with the 97 in 2nd. With Chase Gibbons in 26th, fighting to stay still on the lead lap, as well as the 54 out of the race. And then the 32 in 31st, and then Ian McDaniel in 7th. The 32 still quite a number of laps down, with McDaniel still able to continue.
Yeah, well, we've only got 5 laps left here now, so I do believe that the time is up for the number 32, I'm afraid. So it looks like Kyle maybe will be saying goodbye to his chances of an in-season tournament title. And somebody who also won't be saying goodbye to their in-season tournament title hopes at the moment, well, it looks like it's going to be Zachary Ponce. Obviously, like we were alluding to during the caution there, looking at the replays, Justin Haley getting a decent amount of that incident. Zachary Ponce obviously running out front here. Oh, sorry, it's Jeremy Mead. Sorry, is the in-season tournament driver. My apologies.
You're all good, Jeremy Mead. Well, the 99 is still out on the lead lap, but as you see, we have a big separation of the pack. A lot of guys have fallen towards the rear, and it seems like a lot of those guys that were involved in that wreck elected to stay out, not take very few repairs to just try and get points, especially this late in the race. Ian McDaniel now making a move to the lead. His Bones Motorsports teammate giving it to him right here. So we'll see if the 6 and 97 work out with each other with 4 laps to go. Kaz Gralla says, I'm not pushing Ian McDaniel. He's going to go to the lead to the bottom side. Gralla now out in front here. The 88 just behind him. Blake Walker in the 88 trying to recreate the magic that Dale Jr. did with that number many years ago. The 88 Blake Walker making a move to the inside of the 3. I mean, if you were a true-blood NASCAR fan and only heard these numbers 3 and 88, you'd be like, oh my goodness, this is a crazy battle up front. But instead with Kaz Gralla and Blake Walker, not to discredit these two, but Blake Walker to the lead with the famous 88, Kaz Gralla with the 3 sliding back to 3rd, side-drafting the 84 of Strokey Banger, as we got quite a decent pack here, probably pretty small, about 15 cars here, but this is going to be quite racy towards the end.
We got Strokey Banger, my boy, making his way, looking for a move here on Blake Walker. We got Squarius Greenhouse Jr. right behind the 84 on the inside row. Looks like we got Santiago Nicholas making a move there on the Squarius Greenhouse Jr. Trying to get up behind his teammate here, trying to make it a 2-car tandem here for the Dodge team.
Here comes the 84 and 83, 2 by 2 go the 83 and 84 with 2 to go here around Armory Digital Superspeedway. The Seattle Superspeedway has been known to put on a great finish. We had one here last year, the 83, Santiago Nicholas. His only wins have come at Superspeedways. Can he get a 3rd one? Can he be like Dale Jr. and try to recreate the magic here at the Superspeedways? Strokey Banger has not had a win since his Coca-Cola 600 heroics last season, from last to first. But here he's got to have one more perfect lap. 2.6 miles left to go here at Armory Digital Superspeedway. We're 3 wide across the stripe for the final time. One more lap to go at Armory Digital.
He's been so good at these plate tracks for so long. Santiago Nicholas, he's kind of made it his bread and butter, obviously with 2 Daytona 500s behind him. Can he get another victory here at Armory Digital to add to his collection and keep himself going throughout this in-season tournament?
Here comes Michael Guthrie. He was so close last season, barely lost in a photo finish and was leading at the stripe if we were going to the distance. Unfortunately, a green-white checkered derailed it for the 51. One final heroic for the 51 and possibly even Blake Walker, who both have a run, coming through the tri-oval for the final time. Santiago Nicholas in the 83 is going to block low. The 88 of Blake Walker abandons the 51. It's going to be Santiago Nicholas in the 83. Gets it done at Armory Digital Superspeedway.
Can't argue with that. That's the best way to get through in a in-season tournament race. You can't get beaten if nobody beats you.
Absolutely well said, Tommy. Unfortunately, it means not the best for Marnell, as he's going to be going home without an in-season tournament continuation. But you guys still, I would say, still leading the points after this one, but cannot discredit Santiago Nicholas, his 2nd win on the year and 2nd one at a super speedway. I mean, what a performance for that 83 car as he's going to burn it down here. Kind of just showed up really towards the end. He had those laps led early around lap 9 and lap 10 and then made his mark when it counted. Go on through the results here. Nicholas, Guthrie, Walker, Foss, Banger, your top 5. Kaz Gralla slips to 6th. Christian Visconti in 7th. Ian McDaniel rounds out in 9th. Jerry Chen in 10th. We do see that Zachary Ponson is in 22nd. Jeremy Mead in 16th, just above the 99 of Justin Haley, who seemed to have fallen back in that last one. Definitely the front end damage really affected that 99 car, as we'll scroll on through the rest of the results. A lot of those guys that were involved in the early incidents did retire back to the garage. Kyle Mabey, being 8 laps down, was able to go +1 on where Logan Williams was, but still 31st on the day for quite fast. 31st and 32nd for 2 really fast race cars, and especially you look at Garrett Lamar, Brayson Collins, Richard Fridge, all those guys that did get involved in earlier incidents. Well, Garrett Lamar wasn't. He kind of just was not really on his game today, I would say. but all those guys getting involved in earlier incidents ending up lower towards the ending of the running order.
Yeah, for a lot of those guys, obviously they were already out of the in-season tournament, so this was just trying to show up and have a great day. But yeah, still not going to be a good points day for any of those guys towards the rear. But yeah, for those who were in the in-season tournament, the likes of your Kyle Mabey's, definitely not, and Christopher Marnell's obviously not what they wanted to see.
Absolutely. As we see Santiago Nicholas, Jeremy Mead, Chase Gibbons, and Ian McDaniel advancing forwards to your final four. So we're going to see Nicholas versus Mead, and then Gibbons versus Ian McDaniel. A little bit like we saw last season, kind of a Cinderella Final Four. We did have some higher seeds, though, last year. This one, all these seeds are like very low guys. All these guys had to compete in the first round in the Coke 600 to try to make their way through. Chase Gibbons, his second Final Four appearance in both seasons of the in-season tournament. So we're going to have quite the matchups on our hands here at COTA next week, where we did see quite a bit of shakeup last year.
Yeah, well, all these guys, bottom 8 seeds coming into this once the open race was said and done. So very interesting to see from that perspective. Obviously, going to a road course next, it'll be interesting to see if that plays any effect. Obviously, that was a big help for Michael in terms of him getting through in the in-season tournament, having a good run there last year. So
with a win.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see if any of these guys can have any similar heroics to go through last season.
Take a quick look at our point standings. The top 22, Marnell, Lamar still out in front, but Santiago Nicholas slowly but surely creeping his way up towards the top of that group. Marnell, Lamar, not great days. That just doesn't bode well for their current points gap, as Quentin Haley still sitting in 5th there, and the rest of the field kind of, they're still eating the dust of CRT right over here, but yeah. You guys definitely going to a road course next week for a little bit of a one-on-one team principal kind of chat here. You guys go into a road course next week, a place that you guys have done well at in the past. Could be a good get back for you guys, I would hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, if you look at the guys who are out or towards the rear in this race, like you've got some of the daft guys who are back there that got caught up in incidents. Kyle Mabey, obviously, who's been doing really well and really consistent so far this season. He's up there on the points. Obviously the 31 of Quinton got involved in the last caution as well, as did Justin. So even for our sake, with Garrett not having a good day, and Chris and Robbie and Tyler, all three of them DNFing. Despite that, thankfully, I guess it was some of the guys who were also up towards the front of the field points-wise that had some bad days too. So obviously Santiago Nicholas was able to move his way up with a nice little points haul today. But prior to that, he'd kind of been a little bit lower down. So yeah, not too terrible, I suppose, from our perspective. If we were coming out here with the results that we had as a team, and it was a Kyle Mabey win that we were looking at, maybe we'd be licking our wounds a little bit harder. But as you say, it's kind of all eyes forward now to a road course where we should be hoping for better luck in terms of the fact that it's more talent based. Not to discredit Santiago Nicholas's results here. Obviously, he shines through as a result, like this a la Denny Hamlin or someone like that. But yeah, it definitely will be more to our advantage, and you can make your own luck, I suppose, and have more of an impact and more of a control over your results at a road course. So long as our guys are on their A game, as they usually are on road courses, hopefully we'll be looking at some better points days ahead of us at COTA next week. So looking forward to it.
And we've seen COTA has been kind of the driver's track, especially with the move to the Gen 6 cars that we had in Season 2. We had a great battle between Kaz Gralla and Michael Guthrie last season, and Santiago Nicholas, to his credit, did do pretty well at COTA last year. COTA is we do have 3 completely different road courses here on the schedule, which caters to 3 completely different types of drivers. We did see Marnell get the win at Watkins Glen, but Robbie Gordoff, Watkins Glen was kind of his last sort of great result that we saw of the 33. He's kind of tailed off since then. We could see with these long straights, tight technical corners, this could be the type of track that does suit the 33. And don't forget Tyler Cook, GT3 racer, has raced at COTA before. So it could very well be a track that we do see, once again, some CRT guys coming back out. But we also did see the likes of Kaz Gralla, won the pole last season. Michael Guthrie. Haven't seen a whole lot of him up front this season. So a whole lot of different names could show their faces once again, which could play into the hands of CRT, some familiar competition, and also could be pretty fun race for the viewers as well.
Well, that's always the hope, is that it's going to be a good race for the viewers. Obviously, we all have our biases up here in the booth as co-commentators, whether it's me or Dominic or any of the other guys who you have up here in the booth. So, it'll be interesting to see how it goes from a biased perspective, as mine is. But fingers crossed that no matter what happens, it's an entertaining run for the fans. That's what we're all about here at LIMECAR.
The final 4 at COTA will be the 10th race of the season, and we'll see some mid-season upgrades start to take place as well. So those ones will come into effect. Should have a great race. And Tommy, glad to have you in the booth once again. Glad to have you out here in person. And for one last time, thank you for being in the booth in person. Hopefully we'll see you in the booth later on down the road, unfortunately over phone call.
Oh, well, it's always a pleasure, as always, being here, whether it's digitally or physically, although the physical intimacy is definitely preferred, as I've come to find in recent months. I was so lonely for so long, and then you came into my life, and I've been so happy since. So ever since June, my life has been splendid, and I can only thank you for bringing me back out and seeing those sparkling eyes once more.
Well, I'm thankful that I have my glasses to see your dashing, gorgeous green eyes. From all of us in the booth, thank you. Mr. Smudge says...
Mr. Smudge is here with us as well. So we actually got a trio in the booth, but he's about as brain dead as Garrett Lamar on his best day. So we didn't hear much from him this race. He's been asleep at the wheel, much like Ricardo Garcia has been for most of this season as well. So,
well, we'll see you guys next week for COTA. It should be a fun one from all of us. Thank you so long, and meow.
Bye, Dominic.